CBT News, celebrating 10 years of delivering the news and content automotive professionals count on. CBT News, 10 years strong. Subscribe today. Welcome to CBT News with Bridget Fitzpatrick.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to CBT News. I'm Jim Fitzpatrick, sitting in for Bridget today. Thank you so much for joining us. Today on CBT, we're joined by Jessica Caldwell, Executive Director of Industry Insights at Edmunds.com. But first, here are today's top stories. Starting our coverage, the United Auto Workers Union has demanded car makers cease operations in Xinjiang. Nearly all large automakers, including Ford and GM, source components from the area, which is heavily populated by the Uyghur, a Muslim minority group in the country. However, according to the independent studies, the facilities in Xinjiang have forced the Uyghur population to manufacture parts and process materials used in virtually all vehicles across the globe. In addition to putting pressure on companies to withdraw, the UAW is calling on the U.S. government to enforce its recently passed law banning products from the region made with forced labor. While automaker representatives have yet to comment, Beijing continues to deny any wrongdoing. Next up, General Motors has ramped up plans to improve North America energy infrastructure by promising to install thousands of charging stations in the rural U.S. One of the major roadblocks to widespread EV adoption is the lack of reliable charging options, especially in southern and heartland states. Through an initiative called the Dealer Community Charging Program, GM has enlisted the help of local dealerships to bring stations to these underserved areas. According to the rules, the automaker will provide 10 units per dealer, while participating franchises will be responsible for installation and servicing costs. The program allows dealers to identify the locations most in need, allowing communities to have easy access in high traffic areas. GM plans to bring 40,000 new stations to the U.S., nearly doubling the current number. Vinfast, a Vietnam-based EV manufacturer, has filed for an IPO in the U.S. Vinfast, which was the country's first automaker, has only recently launched its products in the U.S., shipping its first order in late November. While reviews of its electric SUVs have been positive, the 5-year-old company has yet to turn a profit, although it hopes to change this by increasing production with the help of a new plant in North Carolina. While investment banks have yet to complete the underwriting process, the company is set to begin trading in 2023 and will be listed as VFS on the NASDAQ. Finally, a federal agency has initiated 3 investigations into automakers Jeep, Ram, and Honda. In an announcement, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration cited complaints for the Jeep Compass SUV, the Ram 25 and 3500 pickups, and the Honda CR-V and HR-V SUVs. Reports range from power loss to brake failure. The administration will follow standard procedure, analyzing all affected vehicles for defects to determine if a recall is necessary. Honda customers stand to be the most impacted, as roughly 1.7 million of the automaker's vehicles are included in the probe. Thankfully, the reports include no mention of crashes or injuries, and all companies involved have stated they will cooperate with the investigation. Don't go anywhere. Coming up next is Jessica Caldwell, Executive Director of Industry Insights at Edmunds.com. We'll be right back.
Delivering the news dealers count on for 10 years. Subscribe today and join thousands of other automotive professionals. CBT News, 10 years strong.
Today on CBT Now, Jessica Caldwell, Executive Director of Industry Insights at Edmunds.com, sits down with me to discuss year-end market activity and what she expects to see in 2023. Take a look. Let's take a look back at 2022. What jumps out at you in terms of big trends and things that are happening in the automotive space?
Yeah, I mean, 2022, it's like, what a topsy-turvy year. I mean, a lot of changes. I think how we're ending the year is probably different than how we started. I mean, it's kind of started out in the fact that inventory was so tight, pricing was just getting out, just extremely high for everything, for new, for used. We kind of have gone through this year. We've had, I think, the big change has been some of the interest rate hikes that the Fed has implemented, which has changed many industries, not just ours. Obviously, housing we hear more about, but
Sure.
It's definitely changed some of the dynamics that we are seeing. So I think of the combination of inventory increasing, starting to see some abatement from the chip shortage, so that's growing, and I think probably a bit of a slower consumer cool off. I mean, there is so much pent up demand out there from the past few years, so it's not as if consumer demand is dead. But in terms of what it could be if maybe there were more normal conditions, we look at the interest rates out there being so high, new averaging in the region of 6%, used and 9% on average. It's not surprising that given where prices are, consumers are kind of second guessing whether they need, a new car. But the good news for your audience, for dealers out there, is that because of the pent up demand, it's not as if this is not a 2008 situation where they're all just going to run away. This is slightly different.
Yeah, I know. A lot of your colleagues in the industry that I've spoken to over the course of the last 6 months have pretty much echoed what you're saying now, in the sense that there is such a huge demand, a pent up demand for vehicles, both on the retail side as well as the fleet side. There's fleet cars out there. I rented a car recently that had almost 40,000 miles on it, which I couldn't believe because it was from an enterprise rent-a-car. And so everybody is after those vehicles once they start coming back and hitting lots and showrooms, right? And it seems as though it's going to take a while to work through that maybe 3 to 4 million demand, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the sales rate before 2020, if we kind of kept that 2019 sales rate constant, I mean, you're looking at probably a deficit over 7 million vehicles.
Wow.
Sold. I mean, not all of them are necessarily translating because we have a lot of lease buyouts. That's been a relatively stronger trend in 2022, shall we say, than before. People kind of shifting into use. So it's not all necessarily out there waiting to be sold to, but we do know that there are, millions out there. And the fleet is, as you bring up, is really a good point because they have been starved for so long. Rental cars are getting so old. The used market can, quite frankly, use those off rentals.
Yeah.
And I think even if there is a slowdown in consumer demand, I think that fleet can certainly make up for it for a time being.
Sure. Be sure to watch that interview in its entirety right here at cbtnews.com. That's a wrap for our show today, but we invite you to join us right back here again tomorrow morning for all of the latest news, trends impacting the retail automotive industry. Follow us on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Jim Fitzpatrick, sitting in for Bridget. Thank you so much for watching. Go out and make it a great day.
Thanks for watching CBT News, the voice of the retail automotive industry. Join the #1 most watched newscast in the automotive industry. CBT News, 10 years strong. Subscribe today.